Okay, we are live. Okay, just finishing setting up here. We got rocking and rolling. Like I said, I usually set up at the last second because sometimes in Thailand, sometimes the lives struggle a tiny bit. Okay, kind of got stuff out of my way. Feeling a little bit tired right now because when I woke up, I thought it was 5 in the morning and it was actually only 2:45 a.m. So I tried to lay back down and take a nap, but but the nap wasn't very good. So let's get rocking. Remember, we are on doing the book review, testing one, two, yeah, making sure the mic was on there. I didn't see the equalizer moving there. I'm pretty sure I hit this mic, the Rode Pod mic. I don't think I can go back and kind of see what mic I'm on. So if something happens, I'm on. If not, I'll be on this mic, but I should be on this mic right here. But anyway, let's get rocking. I believe we're on chapter 16. There's only 2 more after this, I believe. And this chapter is called Fall in Love. And remember, if you're kind of just new to this, is Price Pritchard, when he wrote U², U2, is they're broken down, kind of broken down in chapters, but each chapter is only about a page. And some of these chapters end abruptly. I know I say this in every single live, but just for the new people that kind of jump on and watch, is sometimes the chapters just end. You're like, tell me more. You didn't tell me what we were supposed to talk about. So sometimes they just end. I put in a lot of my commentary, of course, and so fall in love. Let me read the quote, and then we're kind of get going with this because I love the quote he kind of put in with this chapter. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. There must be something worth caring about, something remarkable, special, precious enough to light the fire in your heart. Now, remember, fall in love. This chapter is preceding the one we went through, not yesterday, the day before. Yesterday was Sunday for me. Is the last chapter we did was open your gifts. So Price Pritchard really talks about, using your gifts. On that one, that live lasted like an hour because we really dove into. I had a lot of questions on that too. We really dove into your gifts, how to use your gifts. I kind of went into a different direction than Price Pritchard because when we get older, we hit a moment in life where we don't know what we're good at. We don't know what gifts we have. If we talk about the Bible, spirituality, or a religion, we don't know what spiritual gifts we have. And we kind of talked about that and kind of dug deep into that. And that's actually what I talked about in the Sunday coffee talk. Because, and I'll kind of sum it up really fast here. I won't go very deep into it, but lots of times when we get older, you don't know the gifts that you have is because you're focusing on your weaknesses. You're constantly focusing on what you're not good at because that's what you've been told as a kid. That's what you've been told when you go through the school system is focus on things you don't like, focus on things you're not good at, because that's usually where in school anyway, it's usually where you get bad grades and you don't do very good. So you're kind of hearing it from your parents and the school teachers. Now, only focus on this. You're really good with math or science or something like that. You don't need to focus on that stuff. Okay. But what you have to understand about success and the ultra successful, the ultra wealthy, they all say focus on your strengths. If you focus on your strengths, you will become exceptional at what you do. And, following your gifts also align with following your passions, following what you're good at. You're going to enjoy your career and job more. You enjoy life more if you're doing things that you love rather than doing things that you hate all the time. And yes, I know we're adults. Yes, I know that we're going to have to do things we don't like. I don't, I'm you can't take it to that extreme point. But what I'm saying is, most of the time, you need to be in that realm of focusing on what you're good at, focusing on what you want to do. Okay, there's a lot of power into doing what you want to do and doing it continually. Okay, so now that's what we talked about in the previous chapter. So this chapter today is he's opening it is fall in love. Fall in love with what you want to do. Okay. So let's get going. It's a short little page. So let's kind of read this and kind of see what Price Pritchard has to say. And I might have to take a sip of water from time to time. That's okay because we're live. All things happen when you go live. When I did my coffee talk yesterday, I was watching the puppies, and that was probably sometimes when I film a video, they just kind of sometimes they just sit and sleep by my feet. But yesterday, they were like ornery the whole time, like playing, fighting, running around. I kept on having to get after him in the video. And like my Sunday coffee talk, that's a one take wonder, baby. That's not like an edit. That's not like an edited video. That's more of a vlog style. Yes, we talk about important things, but it's almost like you're going live. A live is a one take wonder. I mean, whatever happens in a live stream happens. That's kind of how I treat my coffee talks. So yesterday was a little bit of an adventure. But anyway, let's get going here. Quantum leaps won't happen if you're living life with a lukewarm heart. And what Price Pritchard is saying, isn't it so true? I'll rephrase it a little bit in kind of Chad language. Quantum leaps won't happen if you're living life not following your passions. Okay. Quantum leaps won't happen if you're living life not on your terms. Okay. You understand that quantum leaps won't happen if you're not doing what you want to do, period. Okay, that's what he means by a lukewarm heart. You're just kind of a lukewarm heart. You're just kind of going through life. You're doing the status quo, doing what you got to do because that's what you've been told growing up all your life. And, that's what he means. Quantum leaps won't happen, baby. Passion is a very important part of the process. It fires the soul and fills the spirit, energizing your heart and mind for the quantum leap to a higher plane of performance. Passion also keeps you going when you hit with problems and uncertainty. And I think that's the key. Like let's say you're an entrepreneur. If you're doing what you love, you're passionate about what you like, and isn't it so true? And you might experience this, okay, no matter how old you are, if you're doing what you want to do, when you hit a roadblock, you tend to go around it. It doesn't bother you. Okay. What does he say? When problems when uncertainty comes along, you tend to kind of hold through it because that's what you want to do. Okay, when you're doing things you don't like, once you hit a little roadblock, you're like, that's a sign from God. I'm not supposed to do it. You get me? You basically throw in the towel and quit. Way too much. But passion itself must be fueled, and you feed that flame with visions of a dream that is dramatic. The emotional intensity inside must burn hot enough to protect you against the chilling effects of doubt, uncertainty, criticism, and failure. Only deep desire can generate such heat. And he's really, it's kind of like reminds me of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Like you have to have a burning desire. Same way with Neville Goddard, you have to have an intention. But Neville Goddard in his books and manuscripts, he actually kind of explains it like Napoleon Hill. Okay, really, what Neville Goddard really means, your intention, what you want, is a burning desire of what you want to achieve, what you want in life. Okay, you want it so bad, you can taste it. You want it so bad, it's easy to go in your imagination and imagine it. Okay, for you to care this intensely, of course, there must be something worth caring about, something remarkable, special, precious enough to light the fire in your heart. This means you must loosen the limits on your thinking and give yourself permission to pursue what you want most. The climate is right for a quantum leap only when you are passionately drawn in a particular goal. Okay, that notification went away. The inner drive must be strong enough to carry you past the point of wishful thinking. The dream must consume you, control you, drive you to action, disallowing half hearted effort in your pursuit. Okay, this really goes along with, sorry about that, my nose is itching. This really goes along with, I wish he kind of put this and actually blended this, open your gifts. And this is kind of what I was talking about uh, when I open this live stream. Like, this is a continuation of opening your gifts because it's really about, if you think about it, and some of us when we're older, we've experienced this where we don't know what we get, what our gifts are. And I don't think I explained in this live stream yet. Okay, no, if you don't know, you kind of confuse what your gifts are. How, the next question is, well, how do I find out what I'm good at? And how you find out what you're good at is actually doing what you want to do. I know that sounds kind of weird. It sounds like an oxymoron a little bit, but that's how you figure out what you want, what you're good at is by doing what you want to do. Okay. And stop doing what you don't want to do. Okay. And go back, and a lot of us have given up our hobbies, stuff like that, stuff we like to do, stuff we enjoy. Get back doing those because that will lead you closer and closer to knowing what you're good at, knowing what you want to spend your time with. Okay. The issue is we've as an adult, we've either directly or indirectly, whatever, we started we started believing that we gotta live our life doing things that we have to do, doing things but I don't want to do, and that's what fills our life, and that's what causes confusion when we start talking about gifts and spiritual gifts, what you're good at, following your passions and dreams. A lot of us are in this confusion state that they don't even know what they're passionate about, and how you figure it out is actually doing what you like doing. Now I know that sounds weird, but you're not going to figure it out unless you're actually doing what you want to do. And nobody can tell you the answer because remember, like I said, with consciousness, all the answers are inside okay. I mean, like even for me, I can help guide you when I know what's going on in your situation. But again, all the answers are inside of you. Nothing is outside of you. So if nothing's outside of you, it means all the answers you seek are inside of you. But how that comes out is following your intuition, following your gut, following your gut feelings, actually taking action on those intuition. I like to call it intuitive action, and then actually doing what you enjoy. Okay. And sometimes, like I explained the last live, sometimes we have to be extreme a little bit because what's happened is we're living extreme right now. Okay. Meaning on this concept. I'm only talking about this concept right here. We're living extreme right now, meaning that you're constantly doing things you don't want most of the time. That's extreme. Okay. So you're living extreme. That means you kind of have to go to the other extreme, meaning you as best as you can, you only focus on what you want. Okay. And for you, it's going to feel extreme because you're not used to it. But you have to be extreme in the beginning because you're extreme right now on the other, like on the other side. You're over here not focusing on at all what you want to do, okay, or what you're good at. And you need to go on this side and be extreme with it a little bit. And once you're extreme for a while, what ends up happening is you tend to kind of float in the middle, okay? Because as an adult, like I said before, I mean, of course, we got to do things we don't want to do. Of course, we got to, life happens. We got to handle stuff. Okay. But I mean, I'm just making up this number, but it could be an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I'm doing what I like and enjoy. The other 20%, I'm handling it, but I'm kind of handling it. I'm not bringing emotion to it. I'm just handling it, doing it, and getting back focused on what I like doing. Okay. And, we can kind of go down the rabbit hole with this, with delegation and stuff like that, delegating things we don't like to do, especially if you have a significant other or something like that. Um, but like in the beginning, it's really It's really learning if you don't wanna do it, learning to say, "No, no, I don't wanna do it," because you're trying to stay in that optimal state. Okay, you gotta look at it this way, if you ask yourself a question of, "What would the most successful version of me do?" In this situation? Well, probably 100%, the most successful version of you is going to know what they're good at. The most successful version of you has rearranged their life and they're only focusing on only doing things they enjoy that brings them up to the optimal level that makes them feel like they're the most successful version. Okay. And they figured out that either they've learned to delegate or if they have to handle something, again, you go outside, you get ready for work, you go outside, you look beautiful, and you walk into your car, and you have a flat tire. Okay, besides having a meltdown over it, you bring no emotion to it. Okay, it happened, you bring no emotion to it, you fix the tire, you go to work, or maybe you had a call off work, fix the tire, whatever. You fix the tire and move on with your life. You don't talk about it. You don't talk about the bad experience to your friends. You don't bring it up at holidays, you know what I mean? But the issue that we do is we have a bad experience like this, and we make a mountain out of a molehill, but we keep telling the same story, okay? And you can't move on with life when you keep telling the same story. You understand? Um that's one thing, like, I lived in Thailand, and even Ang and I talk about this from time to time. I live in Thailand. A lot of Thailand is, it's a poor country. When you have a poor country, you have a poor consciousness. You have a poor mentality. But one of the things I've noticed, like with Thai, when I used to live in Phuket, if you're talking to somebody, they always bring up a bad experience. They always bring up, "Oh, I grew up poor. I grew up in poverty." Okay, and maybe they're doing it for you to know kind of their background. Maybe they're doing it to manipulate you so you feel sorry for them. There's many reasons there, but the bottom line with manifesting and success, if you constantly talk about poverty, what has to happen? If you talk about poverty, poverty has to come to you. That's manifesting. That's a law of consciousness. Okay, what you put out in the universe has to come back. What you talk about has to come back to you. Okay, and even so that's why, like, Ang and I talk about this from time to time, is what you talk about has to come back to you. If you constantly bring up your past, you're kind of repeating your past. You're making your past happen to you again because that's what you're putting out in the universe. So remember, like, all this is universal law. It's like you reap what you sow. Okay, what you put out has to come back. And remember the subconscious mind. Remember, all this stuff is very, very impersonal. This is where people get confused with this material. You have to understand your subconscious mind. And this is why I like to tell you, your subconscious mind don't care about you. Your subconscious mind gives you what you give it. It doesn't care. It doesn't try to analyze. It doesn't try to figure out what's good and bad for you. It doesn't try to figure out what's positive or negative. It literally just gives you what you give it. So if you're giving it good things and good thoughts, well, good things and good thoughts have to come back to you. Okay. But if you're giving it bad things, okay, bad thoughts. Well, the same thing is true. Well, the bad thoughts have to come back to you as well. Okay. And it's all tied. Listen, it's all tied around Neville Goddard. I'm kind of going deep with this. I feel like talking about it, but it's all tied around Neville Goddard. What did Neville Goddard say? Okay, the whole point of law of assumption sums up with this one sentence is whatever you assume to be true for you has to happen to you. And I'll repeat that because people don't get it. Listen, whatever you assume to be true has to happen to you. So if you constantly talk about poverty, if you constantly talk about being poor, that assumption becomes true for you. That means it has to repeat again in your life. Okay. That's why you have to be very careful with what you assume to be true for you. Because again, when we talk about the subconscious mind, it's not trying to figure out what's best for you. It's literally just giving you what you give it. That's what it's doing, okay? That's why you see that's why, like, even throughout my life, if people are in poverty, that's why it's hard for them to break out of poverty because they always talk about it. Okay, when you see somebody in middle class, okay, it's the same thing. Okay, one class isn't better than the other. Okay, if someone's in middle class, it's hard for them to break out of middle class and be wealthy because middle class has a certain mentality that keep you stuck in middle class. Okay, that's why if somebody was brought up wealthy, maybe you were a kid, your parents are wealthy or whatever. Lots of times, if you're wealthy, it's kind of hard for you to go back to middle class and or being poor because you already have a wealthy mindset. You already know how it works. Okay, it's your outlook on stuff. Um, so each classification, people have their own consciousness level that keeps them stuck exactly where they are. Okay, but one of the things that keep you stuck is you keep talking about it. You know what I mean? And another thing that keeps you stuck that kind of goes along with this chapter is you you've gotten this idea because it's been so beat into you going through the school system and everything that you have to do things that you have to do things you don't like. You know what I mean? You constantly have to do things you don't want to do, and that's what you fill most of your day with. That's what you fill most of your life with, and then you get confused when people not confused, but you understand it. You understand it conceptually, but when people talk about doing what you're good at, doing your passions, following your gifts, or following your dreams, that's where people hit a brick wall because they don't know. They're just kinda like, "Well, you basically been doing what you don't wanna do too long that you forget what you like." But let's move on because I have a couple paragraphs here. Let me see where I left off. The inner drive must be strong enough to carry you past the point of wishful thinking. The dream must consume you, control you, drive you to action, disallowing half-hearted effort in the pursuit. Quantum leaps are an act of love, a passionate statement of how you care for the thing you seek. Only an emotional move holds the power to carry the distance from you to you squared. Okay, now remember when he's saying you to you squared, the title of the book, that's quantum leaps. That's meaning like that when you do a quantum leap, it's beyond logical thinking. Okay. It's lots of times we're trained going through school that you have to go to step one, step two, step three, step four. What a quantum leap is, like U squared, is you can move from step one to step four. Again, like I said, it's all on what you assume to be true for you has to happen to you. Okay. And if you think, listen, if you think like, well, Chad, you want to debate with me? Chad, you have to go from one, two, three, four, five. You have to do it. But listen, if that's what you assume to be true, well, that's going to be shown to you. But if you really believe you can have quantum leaps in your life, you really believe that you can jump steps, okay? Because remember, subconscious is very illogical. The subconscious doesn't think by logic. And if you really believe that, well, that's going to be shown to you in your life as well. This is the last sentence here. Let the heart take charge of your body. If you have a magnificent obsession, you are poised with for a quantum leap. And every time he brings up kind of the heart is he really talks about your passions, doing what you love. Because if you're following your passions, doing what you love, you're basically following naturally, you're following your gifts. And that's why I told you in the beginning, if you're a little bit confused about your gifts, or confused about what you're good at, the whole point is to start doing things you want to do. Because once you start doing things you want to do, sorry, that aligns you more with you figuring out your passions in life. Okay. But you can't figure it out if you're not doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? You're not doing your hobbies. Okay. Maybe now this used to be me. Some of us get in kind of tied up with relationships and we have a significant other. Maybe you live with somebody, maybe you're married, you know what I mean? But we kind of give up ourselves to please the other person. So we're always pleasing the other person. We're always doing what the other person wants to do. And we give up our hobbies, we give up our friends, we give up our family to kind of please the other person. But eventually we become unhappy. And we become unhappy is because we've given up what we really enjoy in life, what we want to do, our hobbies and stuff like that. Plus, we've given up our standards and boundaries and non-negotiables. There's a lot of stuff in there, but this is kind of why, it's hard for people who kind of struggle with. They don't really know. You know, I you know, I you know, I can I understand what you're saying, Chad, but I don't know what I'm passionate about. You can be in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you still don't know because you stay too long in just doing what you got to do because that's what you've been told. Or you've been told, like me growing up. I grew up in a small town, factory town. Like, a job's a job, Chad. You know what I mean? You know, a job isn't something you love. Then you go to church in a small town, and all the pastors believe that theory as well. Then they try to back it up with scripture. You know what I mean? A job's a job. A job doesn't mean you're supposed to love it. You know what I mean? So they go, they work at a job for 30 years, 40 years, a job they literally hate, or a job that they demean you the whole time. And then they wonder why they kind of have a negative outview on life. They wonder why they don't know what their passions are. They don't know what their dreams are because they're constantly in that realm of doing what they don't want to do. You know what I mean? And but anyway, friends, just want to jump on here, go live. I know this is probably, this is Monday morning for me. It's about 8:30 in the morning. It means about what time is it? I don't know that if the clocks went back. Did the clocks go back? I think the clocks go back around Halloween time. The clocks might have went back, so it might be 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night. You guys are probably having movie night, and I'm here going live. But anyway, just want to jump on here, and I think we got one or two more chapters after this one. Let me see here. We got one, and we got two. Yeah, we only got two more chapters, and I'm actually pretty excited because it's not that I was tired of going through this book, but uh but some chapters were really rough. But yeah, so I'll kind of think either tomorrow, either there's two more. The second one is this really tiny. This is the last one. It's only like half a page. So I'll kind of decide what I want to do. Maybe tomorrow when I go live, we'll wrap up this book or do two chapters in one because it's only like 1.5 pages. And that way we can kind of move on and do other stuff, and kind of put this book away. But I'll kind of decide kind of what I want to do. Um, the reason why I started kind of doing these book reviews is because I was kind of in the mood to do it myself. And I thought, you know what? I might as well go live or make a video or something like that while I'm doing the book reviews. Another book I haven't went through for a while. I used to read it. It used to be one of the books I read all the time. Is what's it called? The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. A lot of people get flubbed up by that title, The Science of Getting Rich, but it's a fantastic book. The chapters aren't too bad. They're only like 4 or 5 pages. I thought about doing that, or basically kind of jumping on, or maybe for a while, maybe jumping on live and doing questions and answers, stuff like that. I used to kind of come on and the title will be Ask Me Questions by Chad Works, something like that. Like while I'm kind of doing other things, I'll be live and you can kind of shoot on, ask questions about either success or manifesting, stuff like that. We might kind of pop on and do that kind of stuff as well, or do kind of a live question and answer session, where we go live and do that. Because once my mind gets focused on the book, then when I go live, I tend to kind of stick with the book. You know what I mean? So we might wrap this book up tomorrow. Then maybe the next day, kind of now I'll start jumping on with kind of questions and answers to kind of help you guys out, going live or kind of deepening the questions here, or kind of the when we talk about manifesting can get confusing. So because so many people teach it, so many people teach it now. So, and some people are good at it and some people are just too new. They just kind of regurgitate information. So, So I might kind of jump on and start doing that. And just kind of leave it kind of live and kind of set it up where I'm kind of doing other things. And as people's kind of coming on, asking questions, I pause what I'm doing, answer the questions and stuff like that. So we're kind of play with it to kind of see how it's, kind of see the lowdown. Um, and so I definitely want to do that, go back to that. But anyway, my friends, I think that's it. I think I'll wrap this baby up. I'm getting hungry and thirsty a little bit. But anyway, peace out. Get ready for the live question and answers. Even if we're doing the book review, you can always pop on the chat and ask stuff and stuff like that. So I always pause and answer because most of the time it's going along with what we're talking about because I might say something or I might read something that kind of triggers a thought in your mind where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of been going through this right now, you know, then then sometimes I'm pulling from my experience, life experience. I've been doing this work for a long time, so sometimes I can explain it in a different way so it makes sense. And that's why, like in my YouTube, I feel like I can make at least 100 videos on one topic because I can tell a different story each time. You know what I mean? And the reason I do that is because I know, like, one story is going to resonate with you. One story is going to basically, a light bulb's going to pop off and be like, aha, I really got it. Because lots of times with manifesting, we kind of we understand this material conceptually. We understand it where we can debate a little bit, but you don't understand it to the point where you're getting results with it. And that's kind of what we all want. We want results with it. You know, we want to live life on our terms. We want to be able to do, have, and be anything we want. We want to be able to call the shots in our life. Okay. No matter what you want. If you want your dream house, your dream car, you want to be an successful entrepreneur, you want to be a millionaire, or you just want to make enough money, a couple 100,000 a year, so you can pretty much do what you want. You can provide for your family, send your kids to a good school, have a good, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So, but you want to be able to do those things and kind of figure it out. Okay. You're kind of tired of manifesting a cup of coffee. You're trying to figure out, like, okay, if I can manifest a cup of coffee, why in the hell can I manifest my dream car? What's going on? You know what I mean? So, so, uh, so yeah, so those are the rabbit holes we go down, and that's why I give tons of different examples because I know one example will resonate. Might not resonate with everybody, but will resonate with one person. It will change one person's life one time, one person at a time, basically. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. That's what happened yesterday. Yesterday we went on yesterday for like an hour, and yesterday was not yesterday, but the day before yesterday. Um, but that was great. But anyway, guys, tribe, remember I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow on the next live. We'll wrap up this book. I already made a decision. We'll wrap up this book tomorrow. We'll do the 2 chapters in one. Wrap this baby up. That way we can kind of move on from it and start something else. But other than that, remember, most of you guys, it's Sunday night right now. For me, it's Thailand. It's Monday morning. But have a successful week. Have a blessed week. And I will see you tomorrow when we go live.